Hey everyone, this is Dr. D Oracle and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about, or rather pose the question, does white supremacy turn you off from religion? I came on here the other day and left a video about people who turn from the occult or just say African tribal religions and spiritual practices that are influenced by African tribal religions. So I'm just going to talk about that a little bit today and just kind of give you my perspective on that. So welcome back. Please make sure you click like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content of this video. So for me personally speaking, white supremacy does turn me off from the three major world religions. One of the reasons why I will say is because it seems like white supremacy goes hand in hand with those religions, based on the fact that, for one, our ancestors were definitely put under bondage with at least two of the major world religions. And from the way I understand it, it is actually three. Because as a person who had converted to Islam from Christianity and doing the research in that area, I also learned that it was very helpful to put people under bondage with conversion to Islam as well. And then as a NOI, or Nation of Islam, because I felt like, well, maybe I should go to this sect because it's particularly for Black people. But I also learned in that particular sect, they had brought out a lot of teachings about how deceptive the Jews actually were, and how there was a mix-up, some kind of mix-up in that identity process to saying, I'm a Hebrew. And even though they have like blood tests and whatnot to prove that, there are darker complected people from the motherland who also claim to have Hebrew descendancy, or they descended from Hebrews. So with that whole thing, I consider all three of those major world religions anti-Black. And some people do say that Christianity was actually influenced by Ethiopian ancestors. I can believe that, but not in the way that it's presented to us now. And so a lot of us who have gone back and felt like this feeling like this doesn't resonate with me, this religion doesn't resonate with me. And so we began to pick up different spiritual practices. Some people call it occult practices, okay? Because now we're going a little bit deeper than what those religions present to us as principles, as tenets, and as ways of life. So another reason why, to me, those religions are a turnoff is because I saw my whole family in those religions all of my life, and it became more of a support for codependency. It became more of a support for, let us be enabled to do some things that may not be so good for us or so good for our children, because we know that there's this forgiving God that we can go to. And as long as we can get the forgiveness from that God, it doesn't matter what we do to our children. It doesn't matter what we do to our parents. It doesn't matter, technically, if we've created some type of negative aura negativity that's following in our life. It's like, oh, these things can just be taken off of you by a simple prayer of forgiveness. When we know that's foolishness, that's a lie. So it doesn't really give you practical applications to diminish codependency, to diminish those issues that we have within our families that have dragged us down or that have placed us in a position of being a scapegoat, or also that have placed us in a position where we have attained a false sense of confidence. Okay, that's pretty much what that's about. And so the third reason that I have for going against this religion is that it kind of gives, like, white supremacy an undertone of being somewhat compassionate. And we know that's a fucking lie. So it's like, I don't know, I just feel like hiding behind those religious ideologies kind of sort of make you think that even though somebody did you wrong, they could possibly have a change of heart. We're not saying that people can't, but we know that those religious ideologies do not do that on a wide range or a wide level, because we have even those people who are leadership or clergy in those religions. They are messed up. Look at the Catholic priests that molest children. Look at some of the religious ministers that we've had, just think about in our communities, like in the Black community, who have been known for like taking money, or who have been known for taking advantage of women. And recently, in the past few years, some of them have come out, and have totally, like, I'm not against homosexuality or anything like that, but they are. And we find out that they're doing it. So that shows that you can totally say, I accept the Lord and Jesus Christ as my personal Savior, but it doesn't mean anything to you. It's just words. And you feel like if you've done that, it places you over other people who haven't. I've had so many people walk up to me, or even in my family, and say they wanted to question me about my relationship with God or the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. What gives you that authority to feel that you can question me about my spiritual life? Because whatever I'm doing in my spiritual life is my personal business. You can, my behavior and how I treat people, or, how I speak to people, you can question that. But you can't question what I'm doing with my spirit. That's my personal business. That is something that no one should be questioning anyone else about. Whatever you do with your spiritual life or your spiritual practices is your business. So for someone to come and ask you about your relationship with the Creator, or to ask you about your relationship with someone they've never met, that's bullshit. And so, when it comes down to people thinking that religion can somehow place some compassion with these types of individuals, and they don't always have to be white. But it seems to me that that's like a cloak that people can hide under, or some type of facade that people can hide behind, while actually having intentions that go totally against that. That can destroy people. It can destroy families. I live over here in Fort Worth, and here in my neighborhood, within a 5-mile radius, There's probably about 25 to 30 churches. So when I see that, I understand that that was an economic basis for this area at one point in time, because there is no reason why within one block you would have 3 churches all on the same block. I mean, there's not even enough people in the neighborhood to attend these churches and have these churches, like, you know, with a good crowd. Okay? So at that, there's like 2 or 3 churches. One day I'm going to drive through here and do a YouTube video just to show you. But there are like 2 or 3 churches on every block. So that also let me know that was somewhat of, like, that provided an economic advantage to some people who maybe didn't have jobs or didn't have, you know, a way to build themselves on an economic level. That was something they turned to. So we end up getting so many churches around here because it became like a stream of income for some people. That's basically what I see connected with that. I definitely get really irritated too, because when people talk to me about the Bible, they try to say that it's wrong to be a medium. It's wrong to talk to spirits. How do you know who you're talking to? Excuse me, ma'am, but all of the people, and sir, all of the people who wrote the Bible, if they were literally in contact with God or any type of spirits or angels, that makes them a medium. They have to be able to open themselves up to the spiritual sense to hear those things. And if I don't know who I'm talking to as a medium, how did they know who they were talking to as a medium? Which brings me to the question of who gave them the quote-unquote authority to say that, oh, you know, this is from God and everybody needs to follow this. And then they went as far as to even break down people into 2 separate groups. The chosen of God, which is bullshit, the Jews, and then the Gentiles, those who are not chosen of God, but who could have access to God if they somehow subscribe to a Jewish deity, and said, you know, basically, I give you the power to forgive me for anything wrong that I've done. I definitely feel that's foolishness, especially if you haven't seen the person or committed actual, you know, crimes or wrongs against the person. So, do you feel like white supremacy turned you off from the 3 major world religions? Do you feel like it makes you more drawn to spirituality or religions or spiritual practices, I would say, or religions? Because I feel, well, we have some religions that, you know, are catering more to our roots. They're from our ancestors. They're from our bloodlines. They're our gods. They're our spirits. So we do have religions, but do you feel more drawn to those religions that were influenced by the ancestors, spiritual practices influenced by African tribal religions, occult type, you know, just going deeper into the unknown aspects of different religions, or more occult type practices, or even, just like I said, spirituality? Do you feel more drawn to those because of white supremacy, or do you feel like white supremacy doesn't matter, you're just drawn to them because of your ancestors? For me, I would have to say that white supremacy causes cognitive dissonance with me with those 3 major world religions now. And I do feel like that's, like I was saying on the other video, a lot of the reason why people turn from things of the occult or become very fearful of it, because those religions have been so deeply ingrained in them, you know, anything that is influenced by the ancestors or more spiritually connected practices where you have to open yourself up on a spiritual level, like your spiritual senses, like your clairvoyance and stuff, to be able to connect, or maybe religions that are more deeply rooted in nature. Okay? Do you feel drawn to these? If you do, be sure to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this subject and what you feel about it, and how it influences you. But what I will say is, my grandfather was a preacher, and he had his own church, and so my whole family, we're like really ingrained in Christianity, and they still are. Okay, some of them you can't tell them that the Bible is not real, the way that they believe it. You can't tell them that it's okay not to go to church. You can practice those things at home and just like change yourself and revamp yourself. Also, I have not seen any major healing in my family outside what I've done for my own, children and grandchild. I got one child and one grandchild. So, but I never really cared about the generational curses until I started becoming influenced by ancestors and African tribal religions. And then I started to look at the things that were happening in my family, and I was like, these are generational curses. And we've been under the Christian God for how many generations, and it's not changing anything. So just to, provide a little understanding, I feel that's a more even valid reason outside of what the ancestors went through in the slave trade, to make you leave, or to make you kind of question whether or not that is a real God or that is a real system, and even make you question of whether or not that's implemented for the purpose of conquering or colonizing people. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna go. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and see you next time.